Chapter 4. What it really is. Gateway to the universal source. As discussed in the previous chapter, my abilities have continued to increase at a thrilling rate. I was able to stay in the dream world for extended periods of time. My level of intention and fearless confidence has risen to the point that a mere thought or glance of my eye could cause earthquakes or send cars hurling through the air. The reality of my experiences had become extremely self-evident, and therefore all the more intriguing. After literally hundreds of dream world experiences and experiments, I was in awe at how real everything was. So real that I could spend entire dreams just smelling the air, tasting stream water, or touching the grass of a beautiful meadow. I was in complete awe and delight at the breathtaking beauty and undeniable reality of it all. Henry David Thoreau said, "Our truest life is when we are in dreams awake." Our truest life. After all of these experiences, I was now intensely interested in what was really going on. It was clear to me that something of deeper importance was there, and my activities in the dream world began to turn to investigating what that was. I found myself so overwhelmed with the experience that my only conclusion was that there was something extraordinarily spiritual about it. I was not just dreaming lucid, I was immersed in a magical and spiritual world, a place that responded to my slightest desires, fears, and expectations. But more than that, it responded and answered my requests with what I began to call surprises. That is, not only would I get what I asked for, but also it would manifest in such glory, beauty, and with details I had not even imagined or asked for. The dream world was responding to me, no question about that. But it was not my mind creating it. The presence. There was a presence. I could feel it. It was responding to my requests with unexpected detail, overwhelming joy, realism, and additional surprises that I could have never thought of on my own. Every time it happened, it filled me with delight and surprise. I was thrilled. Something was with me, surrounding me, responding to me, co-creating with me. The entire dream environment was this presence. The words that kept coming to my head to describe this presence were higher partner. As corny as that may sound, there was no better description that I could think of. This force was not telling me what to do. It was not judging anything I wanted, and it was not just giving me exactly what I wanted either. It was higher than me, in that it had unbelievable creative and imaginative power. But it used it in conjunction with my own desires, like a partner, a more powerful, higher partner. And the outcome was always surprise, delight, and joy. But more interestingly, I felt that it was not only for my joy, but for its joy as well. My joy was its joy. And so overwhelming the joy would be at times that I would literally burst into song, or say aloud to the whole environment around me, "Thank you, oh thank you." Searching for God. As I had more and more of these experiences, I began to become aware of a feel I was getting from this higher partner. I sensed no person, no individual. It was everywhere, surrounding me, indulging, thrilling, and teaching me. In the past, I had spent a great deal of time in the dream world, searching for God. I devoted tons of my most intense, lucid dreams to looking for, calling out to, and in every way possible trying to make contact with God. With all the amazing things I could do, which was virtually anything, my efforts to find God were elusive, unproductive, disappointing, frustrating, and ultimately a waste of good dream time. I had been looking for a person, a being, or even a focal point of intelligent aura. I'm actually quite surprised I did not get any of those. After everything I've learned, I know that the dream environment can provide you with anything that you ask or expect, and it usually does. However, on this issue, it would not comply. Amazing things would happen, but no God figure. Now I understand it was for good reason. If anything would have appeared, I may have been convinced, and if convinced, I would have not caught the subtle presence of the truth. Only after I gave up my search did I begin to detect experience, and recognize the glory of what was really happening. My dreams now took on an air of knowing. I am not just flying and doing anything I want. I now begin to approach them with an inquisitive allowing and a detached, let's see what happens attitude. Dream example. I become lucid while walking through a beautiful oriental garden. The garden is not fenced in. It is open, and past the boundaries of this garden are low rolling hills covered with short light green grass. Beautiful. As I strolled along the brick path that wove its way through the garden, I looked around, completely aware I was in a dream, and said aloud, in a normal volume, I'd like it to start raining lightly, and for there to be some nice rain clouds. At this point, I really did not expect anything to happen. I was just happy and enjoying everything that was around me. I just really didn't care if my request actually happened, so I continued on my slow walk and totally forgot about my request. My best lucid dreams have always been when I am so thrilled to be just awake and aware in the dream world. Just looking around at the reality of it all is enough to keep me interested. I could smell the air, see the flowers, the sky, everything was so real. Then I bent down to look at a flower for a moment, and as I stood back up, off in the distance, I could see dark rain clouds heading my way, and fast. I had totally forgotten about my request, and my first thought as I saw them was, there's the rain I asked for. It's on its way to me. But then another thought came to me. I was enjoying the sunshine now and had changed my mind about the rain. I said, lightly, I really don't want it to rain now. I want it to stay sunny. With that, the most amazing thing happened. The dark clouds, which by this time were just about to reach me, shot down to a point on the ground outside of the garden's border at the top of one of the rolling green hills just a short distance from me. There, the entire rain clouds, which only a moments ago took up half the sky, quickly condensed and formed into a little black tree. Now, with all the colorful beauty around me, off in the distance sat this little black tree. My unwanted rainstorm had been transformed for me, and now it sat trying to blend in. My little black storm tree. Now that's a great lucid dream, right? Sure, it was a great one, and the control was amazing. But it was not control. That's the point. I had simply asked for rain. I did not command it or make it happen. In fact, I completely forgot about my light request. And then when it came, I did not say, "Be gone, rain." Again, I made a light request. These were the experiences where I began to shift my focus from the use of my power to the release of my desires to the dream environment. Every time I approached my lucid dreams this way, this released, light request way, I would get more back than I ever could have done or even imagined myself. There was something else with me, all right, and I began to use this light request approach more often to see how the dream environment would react and respond to me. Dream example: I've always loved to fly in my lucid dreams, as do most lucid dreamers, but just as other lucid dreamers have discovered, it's not always easy to fly. You can run into all sorts of difficulties. Sometimes it's effortless, and you can just launch into the air and fly at any speed or altitude. Other times it's so frustrating to run along the ground, jumping and trying to get underway, only to float a few feet off the ground before you're back down again. At times I've had such a hard time flying that I would even jump off of very high buildings in the hope it would get the flying going. Note, sometimes this works, sometimes you just hit the ground. In this particular dream, I became lucid, and then walked out through my bedroom wall into my front yard. I tried to take off and fly, only to find I was going to have one of those problem flights. I could barely get off the ground. Then I stopped and said to myself, "This is bullshit. I can fly with no problems. I'm not going to struggle with this. In fact, I'm just going to stand here and do nothing. I know I can fly." I was going to put no effort at all into flying. I just had the desire, but was not going to chase it on any level. I stood there for only a few seconds before I began to float up. Remember, I am not doing anything to fly. No effort. I floated several feet off the ground, and then suddenly, I was launched in an instant into rapid, high-altitude flight. Flying feet first at hundreds of miles per hour, I shot over the city. The lights twinkled below me as I felt the cool night air rush by me. The view was beautiful, and the flight was exhilarating. But I was not the one doing the flying. I was being pulled. I was not in control. Rather, the best way to describe it was, I was being taken for a ride. Not that I minded, and I made no effort to resist. This was great, and whatever it was that had taken me, I felt a swelling feeling of joy and gratitude towards it. My light request, and netted me an unbelievable response. I continued with this method in other dreams, and received an even more startling example of this higher partner's presence. Dream example. In a dream, I am walking through a meadow. I realize I'm dreaming. Now lucid, I decide to again allow this force to take control of my experience. Rather than trying to fly or picking up things with my mind, I sat down in the meadow and said, I would like to see beautiful vistas and fly. Take my breath away. Within a few seconds, I was lifted off the ground and once again shot up into the air into effortless flight. I flew over beautiful lands, and yes, my breath was taken away. Then I was taken on what I can only describe as a tour. The first few lands were Earth-like. Then the next 4 were not of this world. I would be flown into one environment, float there for a moment, and then once again be pulled in a rapid flight to the next environment. In the last of these 4 unearthly environments, I was allowed to linger a while. As I floated into the environment, I looked around and found it to be astonishingly fascinating. I now had free control of my flight, and I began to fly around just touching and looking at things. The plants, rocks, everything seemed to shimmer and sparkle. Everything was luminescent. I got the impression that even the plants and rocks were alive in some higher form. But before I make it sound like it was some spirit land, it was not translucent or unsolid, it was real, just higher. I know that sounds cryptic, but that's the impression I got. And that kind of intuition was what I was beginning to trust. I had been through too much to waste my experiences now on slow, analytical thought. It is through impressions, feelings, and knowing that magic happens in the dream time. These qualities create the flow of insight that you must function from in order to gain the feel of this higher, flowing state. Asking and releasing. These are just a few of the many experiences I have had with asking and releasing while lucid in the dream world. I've seen rain turn to sunshine, winter turn to spring, faraway places, and flown over the most beautiful sights I have ever seen. I have felt joy beyond anything I have ever experienced in this life. Ever. These examples and insight are written here for you. Written so you can see the pattern. Written so you can experience this for yourself. Because experiencing it yourself puts you in the feel of the co-creative process. This is where this book has been leading you. In the spiritual community right now, there is much interest in the law of attraction. I, like many of you reading this, have studied these concepts for years. Yet as simple as it seems, it's as if you just can't quite do it. The process is so intuition-based that it's difficult to make the transition from analytical, mind-based learning to intuition-based flowing, which is how you have to be functioning for it to work. This sets the mind going around and around trying to do it. Yet it is impossible for the mind to do it, because the law of attraction only works from a place of flowing, release, allowing, and forgetting, which the mind has a difficult time with. In order to know, you must experience. Then you have the feel for it. Once you have the feel for it, it's natural, not cerebral. But how can you get this feel for it? When I heard about the law of attraction, so much of it rang true with me because I had experienced it so many times in my lucid dreams. The way things manifested, the surprises, and co-creation. Except for one very different thing, hardly any time buffer. When I requested something, it was either instantaneously manifested or there was only a short wait before it did. While in the dream world, I was able to see the results of my requests, expectations, fears, and confidence. I got the feel of how every slight emotion could affect my experience. It was the perfect spiritual training ground with no time buffer. Time buffers. In the law of attraction, in this physical world, we are dealing with a time buffer. That is, there is a delay between our intentions/desires and the manifestation of them. This time buffer can be days, months, or even years. This can be very frustrating since it could be a long wait before you know if you're intending and releasing right. Asking, allowing, trusting, relaxing, and intuition are essential in order to enjoy and benefit from the law of attraction. But again, this requires experience. It is the experience that gives you the feel of your relationship with the universe, the feel of how it responds to you. It's very hard to get that feel in this physical world. In the lucid dream world, you are in direct contact with the universal source. And I mean direct. Inside, personal, joyful, surrounded by, loved, and indulged by it. You are in the quantum soup, where all things are possible. You are in the non-physical realm, where there are no time buffers. You get to experiment, interact, and learn. You get to instantly experience firsthand the feel of which I speak. This alone is by far worth any effort you have to do to become capable of lucid dreaming. Now, with your first-hand experience, you can step into our waking world knowing how it feels to use the law of attraction. You will still have to deal with the time buffer, as this is the nature of our physical world. But now, you know. The universe, the God force, whatever you want to call it, allows you to be in direct contact with it every time you dream. But not just dream, you must be aware while you're dreaming to touch the universal source. The key word, aware. Just being aware opens the golden door of knowing. Awareness is everything. Awareness leads to knowing. Knowing what? Knowing the true nature of something. Really knowing it, as in you are past belief, and now you know. You know because you have experienced it for yourself. Spiritual traditions have used various words to describe awareness and knowing. Let's use some of those words right now. Enlightenment, spiritual awakening, knowing God, knowing who we really are. Awareness is key. It is the key to enlightenment and knowing. Simple. After all our searching on the path, enlightenment is just knowing. And what is lucid dreaming? Simple, profound awareness that leads to knowing. You are aware you are dreaming, and just that simple awareness enables you to do unbelievable things and puts you in direct contact with the universal source. And though the experiences you have with it, you come to know. It's no wonder that the ancient Tibetans called lucid dreaming the royal road to enlightenment, the dream secret. Throughout human evolution, man has been fascinated by his dreams. In virtually every culture, people at some point have assigned some meaning or importance to their dreams. Dreams have been a magical, mystical, spiritual mystery for countless cultures for thousands of years. What do dreams mean? What is their purpose? Are the gods communicating with us? Most dreams can be just dreams when you are not aware you are dreaming. You experience them, but they have no meaning. One could say you are a victim of them. They come on their own, and you experience them as they come. You believe they are reality in that moment. There is no awareness or joyful manifestation of your desires. You are but a leaf blowing helplessly in the circumstances of whatever the dream plot is. Our waking lives are the same. Without awareness of the law of attraction, we are but victims of the circumstances and emotions of our lives. Ignorant of any possibility that we could be involved in the co-creation of our experience, if only we were aware. The true meaning of our dreams. The true potential of our dreams has been a mystery and a secret, until now. Your dreams, your aware dreams, are a gateway, a portal, a signpost, and a revelation. They put you in direct contact with the universal source. Being aware in your dreams places you in the light of truth. truth about who you really are, how the universe works, and the joyous co-creative relationship you have with it.